Hey everybody. So what I've got here is actually some snippets, some highlights from an interview that I did with Jacob Karras a few weeks ago. The interview itself is quite long, it's close to an hour, but instead of posting the whole thing here on YouTube, what I decided to do was actually upload the whole conversation to my podcast, which I have recently launched, the links to which are down in the description, and post some more of the focused points and information in that chat here. And if you want to go check out the whole conversation, you're welcome to jump over to the podcast and listen to it. It doesn't cost anything, it's totally free. I'm just experimenting with different ways to effectively deliver information and content. So please do me a favor. Please check out the clips and then let me know. Would you prefer to see this whole entire interview? Or do you like the short clips and the snippets, the highlights, with the option to catch the whole, basically unedited chat over on the podcast? All right, now I got that admin stuff out of the way. Let's introduce the content. What you're about to hear are some pieces of a conversation that I had with Jacob Karras. He is an affiliate marketer. He recently launched his own program. He teaches other people how to do high-ticket affiliate marketing. He has a very engaged Facebook group, and I also consider him a friend. There are a lot of affiliate marketers out there, and I have listened to a lot of stuff and been a part of a lot of groups and looked at a lot of products. And I can say without hesitation that I think he's one of the good ones. I think he's legitimately doing it, and he legitimately cares about helping other people do it too. So like I said, let me know what you think of the shortened form of the chat, and that'll help me decide in the future how it is to deliver these types of interviews to you. All right, here we go.
Well, I'm Australian. I grew up in Australia. I spent a couple of years in New York. I got a finance background. I worked in finance for about 8 years, and while I was doing that in New York, I wanted to find a different path to take, and that's what opened me up to the world of affiliate marketing. That's where I got started a little over 3 years ago, and I've been doing that basically since the start of 2017, heavily promoting other people's affiliate products, and then just recently launching my own program, taking people through kind of the process that I developed for myself. So now kind of transitioning from just the affiliate world into the course creation and the coaching side of it as well.
A lot of the people who follow this channel are in a place now where maybe Amazon has just decimated their income, or changes in the algorithm have just destroyed their businesses, and they're left in this position of like, God, I need to do something else. And many of them are turning to creating for the first time their own products. And many of them are really struggling with confidence. And I'll put myself in that boat too. It's like, how do you get to the point where you feel confident enough to say, this is it. Like, I am ready. I feel comfortable to hit publish and put my product, my name out in the world. Like, how do you get there?
I think you've got to prove it to yourself that you've really learnt the fundamentals of what you want to teach first. And I think the best way to do that is prove it to yourself in multiple environments. Now, it really depends on the niche that, your kind of people want to go into. But for me, what you see in the affiliate marketing world, unfortunately, is people will do, they'll have one hit and then they'll quickly go, all right, time to make a course. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to, prove to myself that I understood the fundamentals of marketing and sales and was able to do it over and over before I went down that path. And so I did it with 3 different companies, hit 6 figures in commissions with 3 different companies before I really took that plunge. And at that point for me, it felt like the right time. So I think it's really a matter of proving to yourself that you really, really know what you want to talk about. And you'll know, I mean, for me, it was like a gut feel, like that was the right time. You can work with people really closely to build it out and get their feedback along the way. And then when you're getting their contributions, it's being driven by your expertise, but no one's getting, left behind or let down or whatever in terms of their expectations, because you build it in a collaborative way, which I think can help overcome that hurdle initially too.
It's a pretty big deal to go to someone else and say, please give me your money in exchange for my knowledge. How do you get to a point where like this is the right price for this product?
The price is a really tricky one. And one thing I've found over the last couple of years is the more I've spent, the more I've made. As there's been a pretty direct correlation between those two things. I think the other thing that's changed is perceive the value of information. I mean, this drives how you charge for your own stuff as well as how you perceive the value of other people's stuff, I think. Back when I was getting started and you were trying to build everything from scratch and every course was like, you're trying to throw the Hail Mary with the course and it was the entire process. I think you've got a very different perception of value. And whereas now I've got a core process in place and I can spend $1,000 on something that might tweak one part of the overall process. But if that picks me up, one sale, all of a sudden that piece of advice has paid for itself. So I think depending on where you're at with things, your perception of the value of information is going to be different. I think.
So you didn't start with a $1,500 product though. I mean, you started with products that were initially much less. Like, how do you come up the ladder then from a product? I think your initial product was what, $47?
Yeah. So that was a little while ago. And so that had no time commitment either. So for me, that one was maybe, 2 or 3 hours of content recorded, and there was no coaching, there was no support group, it was just a course, it was just content. So in that case, I think, you can price it a lot lower because you've got full leverage in terms of rolling it out. And, it's a good place to get your, get your feet wet, so to speak, in terms of getting confidence in the process of selling your own thing. In hindsight, if I was to do it all again, I'd probably just, try and back myself more and start with the higher price thing, because typically customers in that lower price point are going to cause you more trouble than higher end customers. I know a lot of people talk about that, but it's genuinely true. There's all these strategies where you can start at a higher price point by integrating coaching and integrating, your time elements, which is, in my opinion, that's way better anyway. Students get better results. You can actually contribute more heavily to their success rather than just putting out a course, leaving it in people's hands where the vast majority of people aren't going to do anything.
Now, do you have any leading up to this, I guess, transition to being a teacher? You had success in, as you said, 3 different programs. What happened before you had success? Like, was there any point where you tried out something and it just like flopped spectacularly?
I probably had false starts in terms of not so much that the strategy didn't work, because the reality is the vast majority of strategies that people teach will work as long as you're not trying to sell stuff on MySpace at the moment, right? Like, most stuff works. It's just a matter of how much time people commit to it and for how long. So for me, it was probably more around false starting. So I worked in corporate and the hours were crazy. So I'd start researching and I'd get into the space and then new deal had come up or something and I was pulled away. So for me, that was, it probably just kept delaying my start rather than, these big kind of chunky, failures, so to speak, along the way. When I really kind of bit the bullet and got into the blogging, that was when it, really started. And then again, I did a live on this in the group the other day because we had a lady who, she's really lovely. She's from like the north of England, and she posted saying she felt like she'd lost her mojo in the last few weeks. And I did a live and I spoke about, even having only been in this space for 3 years, which when you look back has gone quickly. I've had probably 3 distinct periods where I've nearly fallen off the grid for like 2 or 3 months just for different reasons. So I think, it's not so much a strategic failure as it is, stuff happens in life and you're going to get pulled away. So for me, that's been a combination of work, then illness, and then a change in life circumstances, which have each time have just, pulled you away from the business, which does take massive commitment and consistency to really do well at. Be that if you're doing free traffic and you need to upload to YouTube or a Facebook group or whatever, and paid traffic, you got to be watching it like a hawk, So for me, it was probably more about, different things happening in life that have caused periods where I've had to kind of dip out of the industry.
So how do you light the fire again? Like, how do you, see yourself in a dip? Because you're going to know you're in the dip. Like, when it's not working and you're not doing what you're supposed to. And it almost like compounds. You're like, oh, I feel like crap. And I feel like crap more because I'm not doing the things that I want to do. How do you turn that around? How did you turn that around?
It's interesting. We've spoken about this a fair bit recently because I only really had this epiphany recently, but I've what I noticed looking back is that each time I've done really well with something is when I had a super clear and tangible goal to work towards. And I didn't even realize this at the time, but in retrospect, I can see it now. So the first one was the dream car. That was like the ClickFunnels dream car. That was like my whole focus. And now that sits on the desk with me because it's a reminder of that. And then beyond that, it was when I started working with Legendary, and they had like a 6-figure affiliate thing, and they give you a ring, which all these little trinkets sit on my desk. And now when I look back, every time I've done really well with something, it was when I had that clear goal to work towards. And so now it's the 2 Comma Club. And so I think really trying to find that, I could almost call it like a North Star, like something to really, really work towards be it a tangible thing or a set date or both. For 2 Comma Club, I want to try and get that by the next Funnel Hacking Live, which is in like March or whatever. So that's both a tangible goal and a time goal that I have to try and work towards. And for me, that's pulled me out. But then from a strategic perspective, I think really simplifying down the process of what you want to do to like just take it a day at a time until you build some consistency back up, and then you can start to think more big picture, because otherwise it can get a bit daunting and can kind of take over a little bit.
I think it can be people really in this space go out super hard and work super hard. I mean, they're watching Gary Vee and, all this hustle porn or whatever, like they call it struggle porn. But people go out and then they just get burned out. And I have definitely gone through this too. I mean, have you struggled with burnout? And if so, like, how do we avoid that?
Yeah, I've definitely got a lot of experience on this topic. So back in 2000 and God, I'm getting my years mixed up now. 2018, when I was still juggling the job and trying to grow this thing.
That's when I met you.
Yeah, that was early 18. So I was probably pretty much for the first part of 18 into the third quarter of 18, I was doing the job back in Australia and trying to grow this. And I was so committed to the process that I was sleeping like 4 hours a night for probably 6 months. And I got super sick. I got home one night and called my dad because I was like, just laid down on the bed. I was like, something's not right here. And my blood pressure was like 180 on 120. I'm like 26 at the time, 27. Not old, pretty relatively fit guy from I'm not overweight. I haven't got, diabetes or anything like that. No known health problems. And so it was like, holy shit. And so we did all the tests and stuff. And he's like, dude, it's just stress. You're just doing too much. And so I took I quit the job because I was kind of getting to the point where I could do that, but that really pushed me over the edge. And I just took the next like 3 months behind the scenes. I think with burnout, you've got to become comfortable. Like when it happens, if you can avoid it, great. Like if you've got the discipline to go, I'm going to stop myself today and do that tomorrow, which I still don't have. Like I still do too much. But if it does happen, I think you've got to get comfortable with the fact, look, you just slow down. Because otherwise, if you just keep pushing through it, you're going to have a big, black hole in the timeline. And that's going to set you back more than, paring back an hour a day or 2 hours a day cumulatively, One thing I've learned in this space is that the people that lead, you take on the risk, but if it pays off a lot more. So I'd really just try and be proactive in decision-making rather than looking at what everyone else is doing and kind of reacting to that.
Would you say that KBB consistently people who are in the beginning of their journey spend a lot more time consuming probably content that they don't really need?
Yeah, 100%. I think because everyone's just trying to figure out their little path. And I think looking back on it, the faster you can develop your core process. And to me, that has 3 parts, regardless of what you want to do online, that has 3 parts to it. The faster you can develop that, the faster you can start to consume with purpose. So you can start to consume things to improve one of those 3 elements. And when I say the 3 elements, I'm talking about what are you selling, how are you selling it, and who are you selling it to? So what are you selling? What's your core product or few products? How are you selling it? What's your conversion method? Is it a funnel? Is it a conversation? Is it a phone call? Is it Messenger? What's the method that goes from taking someone from being a lead into a buyer, nailing that? And then the third part is, who are you selling it to and what platform are you putting stuff out on? Are you running ads? Are you doing free on YouTube, on a Facebook group? I think the faster people figure out a streamlined version of that, okay, this is my product, this is my conversion method, and this is my audience that I'm going to start with, then you can implement really focused time each day. And then you can start to consume and go, okay, I need to get more engagement in my Facebook group. So I'm going to go consume something to improve that. Or I need to improve my YouTube SEO, or my bridge funnel is, people are opting in, but no one's buying. So I need to either tweak my bridge video or my follow-up emails. Like, you can, once you, even if it's an awful foundation, like even if it completely sucks, just having those 3 things in place to start. And that's the same for ecom, right? It's like, what am I selling? What does my store look like? And where am I getting traffic from? Just getting those 3 things will give you the best chance of success, because then you can start tweaking something real and stop just consuming theory
all the time. What does that mean when you say I'm going to do something at scale?
Like, not to like 4 people, if you want to make like 50 to 100K a month or whatever, and, or more, you're going to have support, systems are going to break. You're going to be watching your ads. You're going to be building content. You're doing everything, yourself, and you're trying to scramble to outsource things. And then generally people that you outsource stuff to, you have to get them up to speed, and then they're going to be crap for a while until they, really get up to speed with how you run your business. So, I think if you're bringing in multiple customers a day, that's what I would consider at scale.
Is there any point since you left your job, have you had this thought like, screw it, I'm going back? Like, I would much rather work for somebody else. I'm done with this.
Not really. There's been periods where I've thought, where is this all going? What am I doing? But it's never really been, I want to go back to what I was doing before. Particularly in Australia. Maybe if I was in New York still, I'd go back to it. No, I think, there's so many benefits in terms of time freedom and all that kind of stuff, and travel when the world's normal.
Normal.
When that outweigh it. But, there's no sheltering the fact that you have moments where you kind of go, well, where is this all going? Right? What's the end game here, so to speak?
Well, speaking of, before we wrap this up, this is your chance. Like, tell us where we can find you if we want to know more about you or your program. Like, sell away. Like, tell us where it is.
There's a couple of places. I do have a YouTube channel. I'm not incredibly active on it. I upload from time to time. That's just Jacob Garris. I've got a Facebook group that's called the Super Affiliate Community. So you're welcome to come check that out. That's a free group. We've got about 3,800 members. So there's a good community over there of people. It's pretty active. I'm over there. We've got,
I'm there.
A lot of my students, Amelia's there. A lot of my students are in there as well. If you want to check out the program in particular, just go to superaffiliateaccelerator.com. There's a short case study video that goes for like 20, 25 minutes. Just talks through some of the stuff that I've spoken about. It's, the overall model of what we teach. And then you can jump on a call with, maybe with me, maybe with someone from my team, depends on when you book it. I'm trying to do less and less of them because it takes up a lot of time, but, you can jump on a call and we can chat about it. It's super, the approach we take is, we just want to make sure the program is a good fit for both parties. As I was talking about before with expectations, like if it's not a good fit for you, it's not a good fit for us. So it's not even really a sale. It's just like, let's go through some questions and let's see if the strategy fits you at the right time. And we'll say, do you want to jump in? And if you say no, that's totally cool.